Hey there. Oh, you got on mute. There we go.
Hey,
hmm Good morning.
good morning.
How you doing?
I'm great. It's such a beautiful day outside. I'm looking at all the green trees. It's like, oh, so nice to be back in greenery.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to make sure. I feel like every time we got to work out something with your mic because it sounds like
Wait, is
there's
it
like a
weird again?
fan. It's like yeah, it sounds like there's like a fan,
I turned everything off.
but it's like it's almost like you're. It sounds like a little bit like you're underwater and there's a fan.
Should we try
Do you have a head?
headphones? Yeah.
Yeah, try the headphones. Headphones actually work a lot better for
Okay,
streaming.
great.
For
Let's try
I
these.
don't know if that's actually true. Maybe it's just
Aesthetic,
maybe it's just a vibe.
vibey,
Yeah.
vibey headphones.
Oh, hey, Aaron. Aaron Cotton.
Hey, Erin, my headphones are far less vibey than yours.
Yeah.
Is this
It's
better?
part of it's part of the it's part of the it's part of the look, you know?
Yeah. If I keep joining you often, I'm gonna have to get some like really cool, like gold headphones.
Yeah.
Streamer
No,
headphones.
yeah. Okay, are you cooking breakfast over there?
Yeah, I'm frothing milk. My mother, I found coffee, so I'm gonna make that.
I
So
found coffee.
I can mute myself since
Yeah, yeah,
this
mute
is
and
up.
hang and as you want to pepper in, you may. I don't know if you saw, but Aaron is hanging out.
Oh, hey, Erin.
Yeah, you can
Hope you
probably
made it
click.
home. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Let's see. I
There's a
can see it.
tab. There's a chat tab. I think that you can click.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Aaron. um, yeah. Here's another. Oh, wait.
How's me typing?
Is that? Oh, that was you typing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Loud.
All that will come through.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
All the loud clicks. But yeah, good morning and welcome back to the stream. This is another Thursday morning, going live on Thursday mornings 10 to 11, and the Thursday morning streams are a little more intended to be like like a little workshop. And the way that I'm starting going through this is just going through 1 through 64 of the keys. And so last week, Karen joined me. We talked a little bit about the key of beauty, the first key, and really, I'm gonna just share something on my screen real quick. Like these, did that work? Did I lose you? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it did.
that's it.
Yeah, every day is a new. I'm learning a new facet of streaming language, so bear with me. But part of the idea of the Thursday morning and seeing where it goes is just welcoming friends like yourselves to hop on and explore, a different journey with all these shadows that are just together. I mean, it's just part of our journey as humans is growing and exploring and interfacing with these shadows and the ways that they meet us in different ways in our lives. And some of these words feel more approachable, and other ones maybe feel like less familiar when you look at them. And so this week, we're talking about the key of unity and the gift of orientation, the shadow of dislocation. Dislocation is a funny word to me, because I find that most people, if they're familiar with the word dislocation, it's because they're on their way to the hospital. because something is out of place in their body, and it's rare that we explore that word dislocation from really like the root of that word, like to be dislocated, like to really not have a clear orientation to kind of where you are within yourself. And because this key, when you look at this key in this hexagram, it's all yin lines. Every single line is yin. It's like the pure yin. And when you work with a transmission like the I Ching or the gene keys, they're not necessarily there's not necessarily a requirement that you go through it linearly, but if you do go through that journey start to finish, there is a bit of an arc of a story. And the first and the second key, the first is pure yang. We spoke about that last week. The second is pure yin. And they hold really like the front doors, the front gates to the I Ching. And so, it's like, and then the story kind of begins with the third hexagram that we'll get into next week with innocence. But I just want to thank you all for coming and hanging out with me, because this is really what I'd love for these Thursday mornings to be, is just a fun time to come in, talk, teach, hang, and share a little bit of our own experiences around how we ourselves have interfaced with these shadows and have found our way through. And of course, if we're speaking about all yin, I should probably have some people like yourselves, some women on the stream. So I'm going to stop there and see whether y'all want to start sharing anything that comes to mind. I'll also just give a nod for Karen that this key is near and dear to her because it's her life's work. It's the archetype that was connected to the position of the sun and the degrees of the sun in the sky when she was born, when she came earthside, and she left the immediate she's never really left the quantum field. Let's be real, but she did enough to be able to come into a physical body. So and she's definitely been on an orientating journey in life and stepping into physical form. So whatever you want to, just come on, just say hey. What do you want to say?
I could say so many things about unity, dislocation, orientation. Yeah, I mean, what aspect would you like me to begin with?
I
Talk
think
about the
that's
shadow.
something. Well, let me just say this, and I'll name this of both of you, and you can each comment in your own ways. I feel that in my experience of each of you, I feel like you've each dedicated a significant amount of real estate in not only your own process within yourselves, but in your journey as facilitators, as guides, as leaders, and helping others to like locate and orient themselves. And so I think that that's a beautiful start, is to explore that experience for each of you, whether you want to comment on it personally or just in your journey as teachers, like what you see, what that's like for you in witnessing how we find ourselves kind of dislocated, and what does that even mean to you, and how do you hold that field of helping people to orient and find their way back, if that's even the way that you talk about it.
Certainly one of the ways, yeah. Yeah, so, and probably if Jessica can chime in, because there are parts of our work that are similar. On a more earthly or personal level, when we come in and pieces and parts and felt senses and internal experiences are not met by the outside world, are not attuned to by our caregivers, there's nowhere for how we really, really, really feel to go. We do need to cut off parts of ourselves in order to make it through, in order to survive. So we cut off our anger, or we cut off our authentic experience. We adopt a mask of people pleasing or of like performance in some kind of way. Or maybe we harden up and we cut off the really tender, loving places within ourselves, and we become defensive, right? So there are all these places within us that we cut off, and then these adaptations that we entrain into over time and take on to survive. And so those pieces and parts of ourselves that get cut off, because there's nowhere for them to land and no one to be with us within that, and we do need that as infants, as children, as babies, as adolescents. We need for our authentic experience to land somewhere. So what happens is that gets cut off, and it becomes dislocated. It floats kind of somewhere lost in time in the quantum, if you want to take it to the quantum realm, which I'll talk about on a soul level in a second. But these pieces of us get lost in time, and so much of the work of what we call healing, remembrance, to remember, is to restore wholeness by making contact with these fragmented pieces of ourselves, these parts that are disparate, lost in time, numbed out, under way back in the back of the closet. We make contact and we feel them again, and we give them what they needed but didn't get at the time, so that they can come home into a unified wholeness. To heal is to come into wholeness. It's to remember, just like a dislocated bone or joint or whatever becomes remembered. So that's how I would describe it on the personal level. And it's not only personal, it's very energetic. It's also very quantum. It is soul level. And in shamanism, you'd call this unification process soul retrieval. These fragmented pieces of us that are scattered across time and space. And it might not only be from this lifetime. It might not only be the hard stuff. It could also be the concept of the golden shadow, the expanded, beautiful gifts, the radiance, the emanation that is also had nowhere to go, had nowhere to land, wasn't safe to be inside of, right? So all of this, whatever is disconnected and fragmented and disparate and lost in this frequency of unity, gets to come home into a unified, coherent field. And that is very much, it's my life's work. That is how I guide, and how my own process within myself always, continually more and more, because we can't end. We're constantly expanding beings. There are always more and more pieces and parts of us to activate, to integrate, to remember, to come back online. So that's me. And yeah, line 4, I'm a server. So with unity, I also serve and bring that unified field to others.
She definitely serves up unity.
Certainly.
And coffee.
And coffee.
Coffee.
The fact that you
about
found coffee in the house is
I know. I
a
think
certain
Patrick's
form of
right.
unity in and of itself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make myself hot tea. I can't. Coffee makes me so high. I try. I miss it.
I've seen you on coffee. It's wild.
Oh, not unified, not
Not
unified.
unified. Yeah, I mean, I would add to that I mean, yeah, second everything that you said, and you said it so articulately, and it also doesn't have to be early developmental. You know, it can happen into adulthood as well. And I've been spending a lot of time, as these two guys know, thinking a lot about my own process with this, and in my first career, that then I completely dislocated myself from, because it was too challenging for me to identify with any version of myself that lived in that paradigm for so long. And in stepping away from that, I lost pieces of myself that actually were quite true to who I was, even though there was a lot of like false bravado and a lot of shadow in there, that then I find myself on this side of the journey being like, oh wait, where are these aspects? And I see it so often with people, that it's not just in our early developmental stages, that it happens in adulthood as well, that we go on some kind of we embark upon some form of a hero's journey where we leave something because we're called into something else. And in that leaving, we inherently don't take part of ourselves with us. And sometimes that has to be the case for the journey. And yet it's through that phase of, okay, now how do I orient to this new place? How do I orient inside of myself? How do I orient to the world around me? That then we can actually bring those pieces back into the whole self and to actually unify ourselves. So, you know, it's really, I think, a lifelong, I'm not saying that you didn't say this, I'm just adding on to it, that it's a lifelong journey. Um, and I think each of us have experienced it, and potentially are presently experiencing it. If I don't mean to speak for both of you, but you know, I might, that we're experiencing it in our own ways right now. And I think it's a constant process, right? It's a constant process of what part of me may be outside of myself that I need to bring back in and make whole. And it's, I think there's like, with all of the keys, probably endless space for contemplation, but this one specifically gives a lot of fodder for looking at ourselves. And I'm curious, Patrick, do you have any specific threads to share around how Richard speaks about this key?
Well, I was just opening up the book, and the subtext says returning to the one.
Mm.
And, you know, there are some threads in that I want to share. But I don't know if Karen has left, because I want to hear this question, but I guess I'll just riff for a
I may have
moment.
just seen her.
You
She
know,
just stepped
it's
outside, but she's coming back inside. I can see her
okay.
from my window.
This is great. Hopefully in time we have just like a proper full studio where we can
Totally.
sit on one couch together and not do this funny thing of occupying all the real estate
I
on this
imagine, I mean, I
property.
know Aaron knows this, but for anybody else who decides to watch this, we actually are all on the same property
We're all in the same
in different
property,
rooms.
and just nice and funny rooms. Um, so, okay, I had a question for each of you. Why is unity a pure feminine journey? Why is unity the name for the deep yin?
Mm.
And
Okay.
everything in
Yeah.
this, the dislocation, the orientation, why is this pure yin?
Mm. Mm.
I'm reminded of a gorgeous archetype that we work with in the tradition that we're all a part of, called Noya Rao. And this is the tree of life. The tree of life is depicted in many, many traditions as the root system being equal in size. Sorry, I'm doing hot cocoa for Kai. In size and breadth and width and depth and expansion below and above as the same. They're mirrors of each other. And I love the archetype of the tree of life because it is the all-encompassing force of all creation. And we love to be binary in our psyche. We love to say what's bad, what's good, what's ungodly, and what is holy and unholy. And if you really get down to business of the primordial yin, the feminine, every little thing is birthed out of that space. Nothing can exist without going through the passage of the primordial yin. Um, and people seed all kinds of, we not only people, forces, beings, spirits, seed all kinds of things to be birthed through that space, but it all moves through the yin. And it's a very empowering view, because if she, capital S, she, yin, can be all encompassing and holds the entire net of creation within herself, then everything is under the umbrella of divinity, and nothing has power over that. So that's my definition or explanation. Yeah, and I'm gonna Kai hot cocoa on mute.
Getting such like beautiful visuals of the tree when you were talking. Patrick, when you asked the question, the first thing that I saw was the moment where I'm just closing my eyes because I'm seeing it again. The moment where the sperm inseminates the egg, and in that moment, the egg becomes this all-encompassing, unified field for creation, right? And every single tiny little cell that gets grown and developed in that place, maybe it's because I have motherhood on my mind, but that's immediately where my brain went, and it just like all of the cells that are grown and fostered and cared for in the environment of that egg that then grows into the fetus, that grows into the baby inside of the womb, which is the micro expression of the universe that we live in. The womb, which is both structure, right, has containment, but is also incredibly malleable and can move around as the baby grows inside. And that to me is such a beautiful form of unity. And it's like pulling in the information of the cells from the dislocation, pulling in the information of the soul into the incarnation, into the womb, into the fetus, into the baby. And it's like calling into form that which was formless. I don't know if you've ever watched one of the really wild, like, what's it called? Like fast forwarded versions of, done in AI of a fetus growing and just seeing it happen so quickly, and just thinking of what happens, every little cell that has to connect, every single tiny little atom that has to come together in order for Kai to be turning 3 this weekend, you know, and
Yeah.
and it's really mind blowing. And so to me, that is why unity is such just all yin, because that's the place from which life is created, and it happens in that development of dislocation into form. Because before that, we're just information, microscopic information floating around, and then we start to come together, which is exactly the work that Karen was talking about, that I'm talking about. It's like bringing everything in, all the pieces in together,
Yeah.
even if we can't predict how they come together.
Yeah. Yeah, I really resonate with that that phrase of returning to the one. When I had my first deep journey experience with this, I saw it was like I was it's like I was a little child holding the hand of Mother Earth, and I was walking across her body. It was as if the earth was in the shape of this like vast feminine body with like all of the curves and the rivers, and all along her body were these portals, these spaces of these moments in time, of different moments and chapters of my life, all of the things from like the triumphs and the joys to like the feeling like the deeply alone, and completely just like in a space of deep suffering and pain. And the message was just like, I've always been holding you, throughout all of this. All of these experiences are just, they're all located, here in my mother's embrace, in this in this womb, like and you've always, it's like we took a tour across the landscape of her body. And so when I connect with that word dislocation, one of the most immediate experiences for me is, and things that I think of immediately, is like the dislocation from the womb, coming into the world, and to disconnect from the placenta, and then how we orient ourselves through life with that initial separation and that yearning that everybody has in this deep, deep way, and all of the ways that it comes out, and all of the perversions and all of the distortions of trying to climb back into that womb. And this journey for me with this key has really been, when it says returning to the one, it's like, can you find and orient yourself into the knowing that you actually have never left. You've left in one sense, but you've never left. You can never leave that womb. And so what is it like to live in that experience, to really feel that immersive womb yin container holding you, guiding you, nurturing you, directing you as the mother does. And so that's been my connection with this, has really been a deep initiation of just trust. Like when I connect with this key, for me, it's like, can I rest a little bit more easily into the bosom, into the yin bosom of life that is holding me, that even where I cannot see, that it's holding me.
That's profound. And I want to just echo, and I just step out right at the beginning to give Kai his bone broth hot cocoa.
Let me just say, I also love that you're mothering right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I was
You're also
thinking
taking
it's
care of your
perfect.
mother. It's so perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of a perfect moment right now.
Yeah.
Because it is I was thinking about that as I was stepping outside. I was like, here we are. This is literally the unified field. It's like the octopus arms, and there is a shadow way to do that. Yes.
Very much so.
Very much so, and often we engage in that, especially women. But anyway, yes. I wanted to just say that absolutely, that the dislocation from the womb, I mean, it's the wound of all wounds, like separation, which happens to also be my core wound. So it's interesting to have dislocation as in Shadow My Life's work, and also separation, because they have similar frequencies. But to be severed from the universe, as Francesca said, the microcosm of the universe, to be severed and to incarnate into separateness. There's an entire, our life basically is a whole journey of coming home back to the one, and discovering that she has never left. I'm saying capital S, not your mother, not your birth mother.
Yeah, the spinning plates, exactly. I have this analogy of having sticks and having plates spinning on each stick, and how many sticks do you hold while the plates are spinning? And it's
Great way.
how many can you actually keep up in the air? How many can you keep up in the air? And I think you're so right, Karen. We women specifically, we have a tendency to do this because the inherent, I love the analogy of the octopus arms, the inherent octopus arms that come through just the frequency of motherhood, whether or not we are mothers, we carry that information in us. And so then we equate it to multitasking, and we tell ourselves that we're really good at it.
It's rewarded. It's a wonderful way to avoid the discomfort that you're feeling inside, because it gives you accomplishments, all this. So yes, but back to this, back to what I was saying here is right, this is the original wound, the original severing, the individuation in physicality from this primordial soup that you were gestated in and held, and the journey of life being one to remember and come home back to the one. And the distortions, I want to highlight this because you kind of said it quickly, and I want everyone who's watching this to think about this. The distortions that we're seeing in the world, the ways that people want to extract resources, steal land. What is land but the mother? The horrendous things that also happen to human bodies, especially female bodies. All of this, all these distorted, horrific things are this backwards, wounded way of trying to return back home, to
Mhm.
Yeah.
take something back
Yeah.
that was taken away
Yeah.
in a
Exactly.
way that was deeply traumatic. And whether that's like the love of your mother, your land, your like whatever it is that was taken away, that is ultimately the matrix, I mean the healthy matrix, the mother
Mhm.
matrix. The word mother comes from the Latin word mater, which is the same word as matrix. Whatever matrix you were taken out of, it's the attempt to return back home to it.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
this is the distortions that we're seeing is this.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
a,
And if
There's.
oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Patrick.
go ahead. No, no,
Oh,
please.
I was just gonna say, like, if you think about early developmental behavior and attachment theory, which is it really theory? But actually, how a child's nervous system is born with basically there being nothing there, right? Because they're needing the co-regulation of the mother to support the development of the nervous system, and so immediately they're separated, right? Dislocated from
Hmm.
the womb, and then they're held, ideally, hopefully, held to
Hmm.
come back into unity with the mother, and that a child, a baby, does not actually know that it is separate from its mother for the first few years of its life, until really around this age, around individuation.
My goodness. There it is
And
right there.
yeah.
What do you got?
What book is that?
What is that?
it's a very stimulating book, the most stimulating I think
It's
we have.
very.
Cars and trucks and things that go.
And cars and trucks and things that go.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah. This. What was there something else that you wanted to
It's
share
just it's
there?
just a beautiful example of how Karen was talking about how like we then spend the rest of our lives trying to come back into unity, trying to come back into the one, and to say that it starts literally from go. It's like that dislocation happens when we're born, and then it's like immediately the baby is trying to come back into the one immediately, and
You
that
know,
sets our trajectory really for the rest of our lives.
I'm done with you. You
Yeah.
know, it's also I'm thinking about the physicality of that.
Yeah.
Physicality of the dislocation happens
If
when
you
we're
like,
born.
you can come out here and you
Okay,
can
but
come
Kai
in
Kai,
here.
we're having a little chat right now, and then I'm gonna read it with you after. Hold on, let me mute for a second.
Okay.
But perfect
While
example
she,
right here of this
yeah,
development happening
yeah,
in live time.
yeah, yeah. While she's doing
So,
that, I
Ready, ready, and
I
while
just
we
wanted
wait.
to say that it's interesting to me the word, and I'm happy that Karen started to talk into like the stuff that we're seeing more collectively, but the root of the word uni, one, right? And here's the second key, and it's like here we've gone to two, and we want to go back to one,
Mhm,
like
mhm,
already.
mhm, mhm.
And something that I wrote about maybe a year or so ago was in my own reflection. It's like the mother's also going to have both the honor and the challenge of forever being the deepest source of wounding
Mm,
for their child,
mhm,
because they were the portal through which that child entered into the material realm. And so any level of wounding or pain that that person experiences on their human journey, deep, 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 deep down, will always go back to like why did you bring me into this space? And because that was the vessel, that was the portal. And so that push and pull of like, I hate that you brought me in here, but I also want to return and I want to connect. And that push and pull of how do we as a species, as a society, like in all the ways that it comes out in these distorted ways through the economy, through society, through culture, of just all of these universal tantrums, men and women,
mhm,
of fighting that 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 coming through that womb. And when I look at the word unity, and you think of like the United States of America, or like the talk around coming into unity and coming into that togetherness, that can't happen without people coming back into the like that embrace, that healed embrace with the yin. And so I find again and again the themes really fascinating, because you look across the world and landscape, and the the war and economics, terror, and just like everything, and just all of the chaos. And it's like all of that is just one massive expression of that full-on tantrum of everybody reckoning with that experience of like, how did we get here, and we just want to go back home, and being disconnected, dislocated from that sense of the infinite presence of being in that womb and never having left, and finding that whole space of how do I navigate through this mess without her, feeling like in that subconscious, that unconscious blind space with the shadow, that I've lost her. I don't know how to navigate my way through all of whatever this is.
Yeah, this stuff is so subconscious. I mean, until conscious, but it's like it is the grand wound that prevails all of humanity, and has been the source point of not only everything terrible that we've seen, but the return and the attempts to return have produced the greatest art and the greatest creativity, and it's almost without like the contrast and the pull of that wound. It's like, why do we create and birth and do anything at all? It's like the source of the greatest wound, and it's also the source of the greatest creation and the greatest innovation. And it's what a pocket of being alive to get in touch with. It's very, very powerful.
And it's also like it's deeply, of course, so one of the most subconscious, if not the most subconscious thing. And also, even when we make it conscious, it still will be so wildly subconscious. It's like, it doesn't matter how much we bring it into consciousness. Like, there are so many things that we can bring into consciousness, and then they, often things will bounce back and forth between being in consciousness and then reverting to the subconscious. But this one keeps its roots so deeply in the subconscious, because I'm not sure there's any way for our conscious, at least our conscious human minds, perhaps in another dimension, there's a way to really bring it into consciousness, but for us to bring it into consciousness and have it remain there, because it's just on such a deep cellular level, such a deeply energetic level. And just as both of you are talking, I'm just seeing all of the different ways that this manifests in human behavior, in nature's behavior, right? How we see a seed explode and separate from itself, and then try to come back together to like build a root system of connected trees, right? And I mean, it's literally everywhere we look. It's everywhere.
It's so cool. Yeah.
What do y'all want to say about the treatment of the yin and the feminine in this moment as we're navigating through this journey? And like, also, I'd say even just, if the yin is holding that field that is welcoming us into finding our connection back to the compass, within ourselves, then how do you see when somebody looks across the world and sees just like all of the pain and suffering and war
through me, and then I heard it through you.
Yeah, that's funny. The pain, the suffering, the war, like all of this, but even more so, there's a lot of talk around like the feminine being under attack, and obviously this is a very deep topic in many ways, but I'm just curious if there's anything that you want to say through the lens of like how people are finding and orienting their way back to that in that return. And despite in many ways people opening their eyes and being like, this is just getting worse and worse and worse. Like how is this how is she here regardless? Like how is that the way back home?
Uh-huh.
For people who would maybe just say, no, she's totally not here.
It's impossible for
I
her to
was
not
just
be
literally
here
about to say that.
because she's literally the feminine, the yin is the very, it's the Shakti of life. It's life force. It's Kundalini energy. Nothing is animate without, nothing is alive without yin. And people are terrified of yin. People want to, and this is interesting because people want to dislocate themselves from the living energy inside of them because it gives them the illusion of control.
Yeah.
And it gives them the illusion of safety, and it gives people the illusion of organization. And there is yang is as important as yin to actually put context and structure into this life force, right? We have bodies, we have bones, we have physicality to hold this all. With just pure yin, there's no form. But the way back home, I guess, or what you're saying of like how is the yin kind of the way, it's in our leaning into and surrendering into this stream of life force that's flowing through us that maybe asks for us to completely knock out our systems of like strategy and control and like compartmentalization and identification. I mean, like yin will shatter all of those to reveal what is true.
Hmm.
And if we can listen to that and then have the yang and the structure formulate around it to serve life force itself, that's epic.
Yeah.
What we're doing is that the yang is we're over indexed on yang and unhealthy yang that wants to control and manage the yin so that the yang can feel also an illusion of control. And I don't mean this only men and women or whatever gender. I'm talking about the forces within us.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are as many women as there are men, as there are any beings that have internalized this this method of control of the yin, control
Yeah.
of force and management of the life force. I was just speaking about this. Sorry, Patrick, you want to share something here?
No, no, I really just, as you were sharing, I opened up the book, and one of the ways that I always find another entry point is looking at the repressive and reactive natures of the shadow. So, like dislocation, the repressive nature is lost, and the reactive nature is regimented. And I was just smiling because as you're talking about like the systems of control, like that reaction,
Regimented,
the
right?
reaction to the dislocation is to like get overly regimented, like really try to like
Right.
completely abandon that like flow and trust
Yeah.
because of an inability to feel connected to that, and so over indexing on that regimentation. But the alternative is just feeling like totally disconnected, totally
Right.
lost, like where's the thread? I'm just kind of floating in this
Yeah.
space, and without any semblance of
Exactly.
it would be like a womb without any boundary at all.
Right.
It's just like there's that lack of containment. So I
Right.
just brought this up to give that as a nod of acknowledgement to what you're
And
already speaking into.
yeah, and like I just want to speak into this too. And who I really love, who speaks so beautifully into this, is Zach Bush. I love his speaking because he speaks so much about like the restoration of organic life and the synarchy of the health of all creatures and all beings. You could look at like a healthy forest is, and we being the forest or a cosm of the forest, like if we are in tune with nature's rhythms, which is the yin, the life force, the seasons, the cycles, the ebbs, the flows, like we restore health in all of our ecosystems, in our family ecosystem, in our personal ecosystem, in our business ecosystems, it's it is such a mistake. It's not a mistake in the grand perfection because it's a lesson that we return to, but what a miss to be so overly consumed and blinded by the scaffolding of the control mechanisms and the management systems, that we're actually missing the pulse of life and what is true and how it wants to animate through us. And to listen, like to really listen to that restores unity, it restores harmony, it restores cohesion. And wow, people will die. I mean, people will die on their hills of the not listening to preserve some kind of sense of safety, some kind of identity. And it is just so, I can feel as I'm speaking about this, I'm like, it's like I feel the mothers of the earth. I feel Gaia herself being like, listen. I'm giving you so many calls to just listen. Wake up.
And
Wake up.
also, I mean, I'm certainly planning on joining you when you go into the fourth gene key on forgiveness, because that's
Great.
my life's work. But one of the things also about this really benevolent rock that we live on, that we get to exist on, is that there's a depth of understanding and forgiveness in the way that she holds us, because that actually creates even more unity, like in the way that with all of our missteps and all of our misgivings as a human race, that she still lets us be here, which is like the ultimate maternal, the ultimate yin is like, okay, sure. Like, if that's what you're going to do, I love you and I understand you, and I forgive you for your dislocation from me.
But I'm going to show
Right?
you.
But I'm going to show you, but I'm still going to show you what it needs to be shown, and I'm still going to hold you, and that's really the beauty of it. And I think I want to go back to something you said when you asked the original question, Patrick, because I think like there's a perhaps an overture of like what the word treatment means, and you said the word treatment of the yin, of the feminine, and it doesn't have to be as massive of like, oh, this is the way that the feminine is being treated. It can really be like, what is the treatment, right? If you think of a piece of art, there is treatment in art, right? What is the treatment of the paint, of the clay that we are molding, and what is the treatment of the energy within ourselves? Like, what overlays do we apply to how we engage with this? And the ultimate paradox that Karen was just speaking to is like, oh, we think that there's safety in dislocating from this, and actually it's the least safe thing in the whole world is to keep ourselves dislocated from that unity. And that is a treatment in and of itself, right? It's a way of applying a lens to something that actually could be removed and create so much more safety and so much more connection and unity. And so I just wanted to double click on that, because I think that, me with words, like I appreciate them so much. And also we can get really, really specific with what each of them mean. And there's so much meaning in all of them. And it doesn't have to be this massive, like, oh, globally, the yin is being treated this way. It can really be like, what's the treatment? What is the treatment that we're applying to this specific energy, which of course is the energy of life force. And,
That is I love that. Thank you. That's beautiful, the treatment.
Yeah, thank you.
And I want to also offer this to anyone, like as a practice. And I was talking about the horses and how the horses reflect, they are an archetype of, they represent yin so clearly. I did a whole rant on that in my Instagram a couple days ago. But one of the questions that I posed for anyone who's in this contemplation is like, what places of raw life force, whether it be my emotional state, the way that I smell, the way that I look in the morning, the way that my breath tastes when I don't, like what are these raw expressions of life force that are just happening, that I'm in such disapproval of, that I need to fix, that I need to manage, that I need to, and I'm not talking about like self-care. No, I'm talking about there's a beautiful way to self-care that honors and is in love with the raw life. But what do I automatically, we all do this. We all do this. Like, catch the inner dialogue when you look at yourself in the mirror. Men and women and any gender. Like, where are we in such disapproval and management and control of what is just organically raw and emergent within us? Because that will show us the places that we've also internalized this dynamic, because that is dislocating.
Yeah, totally.
It's just true within us, and rejecting it, or rejecting it, or needing to make it be a
Yeah.
certain way.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a practice. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, rather even thinking, then of course there are people and organizations that do focus on the global, but like that doesn't change if we can't do that within
Definitely.
ourselves.
Definitely.
The
Yeah.
global thing is a byproduct of
Mhm.
individual consciousness and what the consciousness creates.
Yeah.
So that's the invitation. And I'm in that inquiry all the time. There are still pockets where I'm like, oh, I think I'm in approval of everything within me. And I'm like, oh, there's a wrinkle. And I'm like, whoa, programming.
Totally.
Whoa. Like, this is so insidious and
It's so insidious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would add to it, that there's also, and maybe this is like a little crunchy, but the deep distortion of feminism has, I think,
Okay.
really.
We got 10 minutes left in the
how I feel.
stream.
I'm like,
Here we
I'm
go.
jumping into like the really dark, but the deep distortion of the feminist movement has really taken us to a place where we've lost contact with what this like true yin actually is, and so then things are getting put under the guise of this is feminism and like this is my feminist right and like this is what we deserve. What, again, doesn't have to even be, it can be gender agnostic, but around the energy of feminism. And it takes such a real left turn away from unity, because when feminism is then used to dislocate us, it's actually the antithesis of everything that we're talking about right now.
100%.
Everything that we're talking about right now. And so whether it be directly in our country, our community, our partnership within ourselves, I mean, everything that you're talking about too, Karen, is like the how do we hold ourselves, how do we approve of ourselves, can also be this like very distorted aspect of feminism. Of like, oh yeah, I accept everything about myself, but like covertly, I'm gonna say that I hate this wrinkle and this and that. You know what I mean? It's like that also falls under this, or like I love my feminism so much that I'm gonna fight like a man, right? And it's I know this is like a little bit of crunchy territory, but it's like really true. It hurts me to see that like this is actually not what true feminism is. It's not what true yin is.
Feminism is
And it's like literally abdicating our true yin, again, agnostic of what gender we are, because we all have both yin and yang inside of ourselves. It's abdicating our yin to something else, again, because we're so afraid of it. And we're so afraid of what it might be if we actually just were that amorphous womb space that is contained, but also lets things move as they need to move, instead of like being in that tight, rigid control. So I'll get off my soapbox about that one, but I could talk about that for a really long time.
Stay on.
But also, like, I mean, check this out. What we were talking about before about the original wound, the severing of, like, if you look at this feminist movement, it is also a response to how angry we are to not have had our mother, and so therefore I'm going to reject her and
Definitely.
not be anything like her, and I'm going to perform like the socially lauded way
Yeah.
of masculinity and call that equality and call that, and great, feminism did great things. It allowed us to vote, it did great things, thank you so much.
Yes.
But when people are in that paradigm, it is very, very dislocated from what is true, and a trauma response, frankly. Yeah. So, I could talk about that all day.
Yeah, I know there's a
I'm like
lot there.
wiping my armpits.
I
and
know,
looking-
totally. I'm like, I got a little like activation going around that one for sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to refill. Let's go for another hour. 'Cause that's just,
I'm like, wow.
and also,
I mean, the yin. I
Yeah.
just to like end that, like, whatever this false illusion of like empowerment that like kind of, because it's like it's like fun to sit there, you like thing, yeah, and it's cool. It's like a cool thing to like try on for a little bit. But like the ultimate power, you want real empowerment,
Totally.
is like
It's existing. It's simply existing.
existing in the stream
Right.
of life force.
Right.
Is like that's where God is animating through you.
Yeah.
And once you know that place within you, and this is such a passion of mine, because this is, I work with women to like land in that. I like,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's the most powerful thing
I'll,
you could
I'll
ever.
just share, like, when I was in the world of business and, worked at an office 80 to 110 hours a week, I had a team of 165 people under me, and like there was a joke that I had the biggest dick in the room. And it was really ironic because I was like, dressed in like incredibly feminine clothing. There was not a day under 3-inch heels ever.
Oh my God.
And ever. And I wore them on the subway. I didn't even wear sneakers on the subway. I like wore them to work and out the door.
Your mom's
And, and I worked for a beauty company, and it was a very $750 million company that was about cosmetics. So it was my life. And so it was all like under the guise of femininity, but the yang with which I wielded my giant business cock, honestly, was lacking exactly what we're talking about, because there was a need to prove something, and that was the paradigm that I lived in, and I worked with a lot of men, and so I had to meet them in that place. But actually, like, the purest way to wield the power is to do exactly what you're just saying, which is like existing in the truth of what is, which is, it can be loud, but it also doesn't have to be. And it doesn't actually have to fight anything, because it actually is the thing that creates everything. And there's no fight there. Creation is not a fight. Like, life will out. We see it every single day, that life wants to life. Like, it really,
And that
really
means
wants.
there is force, like there's
And
force.
of course,
Yeah,
but it's not fight. Force and fight are two different things.
exactly.
I'm just enjoying, I'm sitting here and I'm just smiling, watching each of you just like really be in that transmission stream. And I'm just so deeply honored and grateful to have you here for this one. I think it would be, I think it would genuinely be a disservice to, if it was just me sitting on here talking about unity. Of course I could do that, but it's actually, and through my own connection with that, but it's to hear, and beyond even just hearing, it's where one of the things that I was connecting with while y'all were, again, it was beyond the words. It was like, it was the deeper essence. Every single time I connect with any of these keys, it's I enter into the world and the personality and the field, and it's almost like, for all of the pages in this book, whenever I get to the second key, it's almost as if the pages are invisible. It's like they're not there. It's like you can read the words, but of anything, it's like actually it's the spaces in between the words for this key. And anytime I try to find myself like wrapping my own container around what of like conception around what unity is, or even just like remembering into like what was said, it's just like a void. And and I'll run into that, and I'll be like, why is that? Is it because I don't have a connection? It's like, oh wait, that's not how I connect with this. It's if any of those, if any of these keys were one to really just like take this and be like, phew, and just sit with that receptive energy field, it's this one. And so I even just enjoyed here for what felt like the last maybe 15 minutes or so, just to really like sit and receive and just be in the witness of that field flowing through each of you so powerfully. And yeah, it just inspires more to why I'm so passionate about creating space like this. And as much as, next week is going to be moving into another key, like, I just love that there are unfolding opportunities for us to connect in this way, to go deep into these topics. And we spend so much time talking about these things on the couch together. And yeah, I'm just really grateful to hear y'all share into that in this space, and knowing that, again, we'll maybe need to book like a 3-hour session next time to like really unpack like what you just opened up right there in the final 10 minutes of Cheska, because there's so much there. And I think I'm just sitting with that deep gratitude that this is available to us to create space to go deeper into all of this together. So thanks for showing up to my stream and bringing the field. And as I hear Kai's running footsteps upstairs, I'm now presencing myself to our young toddler who has a lot of morning play energy, and I'm going to go and surf that wave with him. So
I don't think he's a toddler anymore. I think officially no longer toddler.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Is there anything before we wrap up? Is there any final parting words or things that you want to?
Papa's with Papa Rank.
Looking at the purple.
Maybe Kai gets the final word.
I think it does. Oh, I mean, I could just talk for so long about this, but I was thinking about just like the heels and the lipstick, and I'm just like, wow, there's just so many like that, like what is that? I'm like my hands that look like this right now is like the most feminine I've ever felt, because
It's hard to see on the camera, but they're like
farm hands.
dirty lines.
Yeah.
Dirty lines.
Just I mean, wow, just the permission for life to life, and to like not contort, manage, like I mean it's just such a massive force. This is what of the planet, of ourselves, of our ecosystems. It's the return. It's the unified. Oh, that was the sound. I think Dominic came in. That is the unity. It's the unifying force. Is radical approval and like the savoring of every piece of life. Even the stuff that's hard to, especially the stuff that's hard to.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. That's the unified field.
I just have to say that irony, Patrick, of you being like, I just throw the book because it's all in here, but I just am reading between the words. It's like, even that, it's like the dislocation, like it's you're literally showing like the dislocation, but so also funny. All the information is there. And so it's the unity and I mean, there's so many different things we could speak about, but I just love that as just like a little nod to how simple this is. It's so multifaceted and yet so simple. You just doing that right at the end,
I always catch a wave talking about these keys. Sometimes I try to fool myself that I'm going to get into talking about these and that I'm not going to be actively like worked by that field in just the nature of how the conversation's going. and then it always dawns on me. I'm like, oh, of course, this is just like a microcosm experience, and it has to be because of the language, the archetypal language that we're touching into and what we're creating with one another. And so, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love you both. Thank you for, just bringing the yin this morning.
Thanks for the invite. So fun.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for being the container.
Mm-hmm. Come on in anytime. All right. Well, enjoy your weekend, everybody. Anybody who's tuned in live or is watching the replay, catch you next time.
Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.